Today, Amazon CEO just confirmed it's replacing its employees with AI. Apple's software engineering chief, Craig Federighi, finally gives us a reason why macOS and iPadOS will remain separate. And how bad is Nvidia's RTX 1590 China edition? That and much more in today's Tech News. Is this the beginning of an AI revolution? Because both Amazon and Intel just announced massive layoffs, and AI is in the smack middle of it. Amazon hasn't said how many jobs it will be cutting, but their CEO is all thanks to the efficiency gains that AI has provided the company in the course of its run. Oh, and they've got over 1,000 AI tools already in use or development at the current moment. Imagine working on an AI tool and its training to take your job. Do you secretly add a weakness or a kill switch? You know, Death Star style. Now, sure, they say AI will help create more jobs, but will it create enough jobs? Because let's be honest, Silicon Valley is no more about innovation. It's about getting lean, cutting costs, reducing the workforce, and making AI pick up the slack. Now, you better not go anywhere, my dear updater, without knowing how ChatGPT will help the US military, what Apple won't fuse iPad and macOS, and what this lawsuit means to Tim Cook. Also, how is Nvidia pushing Chinese buyers to the black market? Is big tech slowly losing its moral compass just for a fat paycheck? Because OpenAI, the company that once said AI should benefit humanity, just signed a $200 million contract with the Department of Defense to go develop frontier AI capabilities for national security. Think data analysis, admin support, and proactive cyber defense. The AI that helps you write your essays will now help defend the US. The work will be mostly done in DC and is expected to be completed by July next year. Now, here's where things get even more interesting, because this is OpenAI's first federal contract, but I doubt this will be their last. Remember when they used to buy military use of their tech? Well, the policy quietly vanished in 2024 right before they teamed up with Anduril Industries to help build counter-drone systems. Principles? No, we'll simply update those. But if that wasn't enough, OpenAI might be preparing a federal antitrust complaint against Microsoft. Yes, the same Microsoft that poured billions into them since 2019. Apparently, OpenAI claims that Microsoft is abusing its dominant cloud market position to suppress competition, a move insiders are calling the nuclear option. And why? Because Microsoft has been holding all the keys, and they had exclusive rights to host OpenAI's models on Azure, and now that OpenAI wants to convert its for-profit arm into a public benefit corporation, they need Microsoft's blessing. Microsoft's counter, nothing. But here's where the tension lies. OpenAI wants to restructure, give Microsoft a 33% stake and take back control over model hosting. Meanwhile, Microsoft still gets to use GPT in its Copilot products until 2030. But OpenAI is now partnering with Google Cloud to meet growing cloud demands. On the surface, everyone's smiling, but behind the scenes, it's corporate Game of Thrones. Keeping up with Elon is honestly getting harder. Let me show you why. Tesla is literally renting out lots of parking lots across the US, not for expansion, not for testing, but for storing unsold Teslas. There's so many Teslas just sitting there, they need overflow parking. Call it the Tesla graveyard tour. Meanwhile, over at Gigafactory, Texas, Tesla's hit the pause button again for the second time in 2 months. Production of both the Model Y and Cybertruck has been halted. Officially, they say it's just maintenance and improvements, but unofficially, why build cars that no one's buying? It's like cleaning out your oven when you haven't cooked in months. Now, Tesla says it's planning to start selling electric cars in Europe and expanding in the US, but with this kind of market-resistant and stiff competition, you could slap a buy one and get one free, and people still wouldn't buy it. So, what now? What does Tesla need to do to bounce back from this slow-burning car crash? Let me know down in the comments below. Moving on, TikTok isn't getting banned. It's like the US government keeps hitting that snooze button every Monday morning. To ban or not to ban? Meanwhile, I just need 5 more minutes of sleep. Despite the congressional mandate to ban the app if it's not sold, the White House press secretary just confirmed an executive order is dropping this week to keep TikTok up and running, which means one of two things. Either the negotiations are still ongoing behind the scenes, or they'll just keep on hitting that snooze button until GTA 6 comes out. Crypto bros, rejoice. Washington just slid you a regulatory love letter, and it's called the Genius Act. Though it sounds like a Kanye West rebrand, it's just the US government finally deciding to take stablecoins more seriously. The Senate passed the act, but it still needs to pass the Republican-controlled House. And if that happens, it lands on President Trump's desk. And if it does, it would mean 1. Stablecoins must be backed 1-to-1 by highly liquid assets. You know, US Treasury bills, not just imaginary internet magic or vibes. 2. They must publish monthly reserve reports, so no more vague, trust me bro, white papers. 3. If you're running a stablecoin empire worth over 50 billion, you need annual audit and proper anti-money laundering controls. Basically, crypto with accountability. Now, let's not underestimate this. For years, US crypto companies were building the financial future on legal sand. There were no clear guardrails, just lawsuits, warnings, regulatory whiplash. But this bill is the beginning of a rulebook. A framework that says, here's how to operate without us shutting you down. That's why companies like Circle, the folks behind USDC, are celebrating. It's why institutions may finally start warming up to crypto beyond just NFTs and speculative tokens. If a bill passes, the US could leapfrog Europe and Asia to become the first major economy with clear stablecoin rules. On the other hand, China is getting down with the US dollar and the system because it looks like Beijing is quietly hitting the unsubscribe button on America's financial system, and they're not being subtle about it either. China's central bank governor just confirmed plans to go global with their digital yuan, aka ECNY. Not just a local experiment, but a full-blown international currency push. China wants its own financial aid, away from Uncle Sam's toll booths. Already 6 foreign banks including Standard Bank and First Abu Dhabi Bank are jumping on China's SIPs. That's basically the SWIFT alternative but with a yuan flavor. For China, it's about breaking the US dollar dominance, which by the way gives the US immense power financially through sanctions, trade leverage and currency control. But if more countries adopt China's system, then they'll have all the power. But in that case, who do you love leading the world order? Because I know you as an update robot have already gotten caught up with the best tech news on the internet at this point. Let me make sure you get your required daily intake by going into the Apple news. Apple is being sued. Not for slowing down old phones this time, but for forcing you to pay for iCloud just to back up your own damn phone. And honestly, I stand with the people. The Californian federal judge has greenlit a class action lawsuit against Apple. The claim, Apple is monopolizing iPhone backups by you making iCloud the only way to fully back up your iPhone. Yes, you can still back up your phones and documents elsewhere, but your system's apps, configurations, and keychain passwords off limits unless you use Apple. The plaintiff says it's anti-competitive. Apple blocks third-party backup apps from accessing key system data. Then they offer only 5 GB of free iCloud data for their flagship phones, which now start at 128 GB minimum. So you're pushed into a subscription because what other choice do you have? It's like being charged to store your toothbrush just in your own home. Apple says it isn't a monopoly, it's for your own safety. Pretty expensive to be safe. Now, if this class is certified, it could affect tens of millions of iCloud users in the US, and Apple has until July 7th, 2025 to officially respond. Apple just said they're not fusing the iPad and iMac because nobody wants a digital sport. We finally have an answer to why the iPad and iMac won't fuse like Goku and Vegeta to form a all-powerful tech Super Saiyan. In a recent interview, Apple's software engineer chief Craig Federighi made it clear macOS and iPadOS will remain separate. He compared the idea of merging them to a spork. It's not a good spoon, it's not a good fork. Basically, yes, the iPad and iMac look identical, but just like identical twins, they cannot forge together to form one superior being, but one can act like the other. So next time someone says, why can't the iPadOS and macOS fuse into one? Just hand them a spork and simply walk away. Into the gaming news. Nvidia is getting ready to give China some serious double Ds. And no, not those double Ds. The RTX 50 DD. And trust me, they're in for some big change. This new 5090 DD is Nvidia's latest attempt to stay in the Chinese market after the US banned the original 5090D. So what's different? Well, the DD comes with 35% fewer cores, 24 GB of GDDR7 memory. Though it keeps the same memory bandwidth and TDP, it takes a gaming hit from 20 to 30%. And though the expected launch price is at $1,500, which is less than the nearly $2,000 price in the US, Nvidia's DDs are cheaper, weaker, but still look impressive on paper. The real question is, will this keep Nvidia's presence in China still alive, or just push more buyers to the black market? Xbox and AMD are the new power couple on the block, announcing a multi-year partnership to build the next generation of consoles. But let's be honest, it felt less of a gamer review and more of an investor update. Now, someone who considers himself as a venture capitalist might sleep. Now how to tune in. Here's a rundown. You can kiss DLSS goodbye because this is AMD land and FSR or whatever version we're on by launch. is what you get. Xbox is opening the doors to Steam and Epic, meaning next generation consoles will prioritize compatibility with both the Xbox Store and Valve's Kingdom. And yes, they're keeping backwards compatibility so your dusty Xbox games are safe. The whole system will be deeply integrated with Windows, reinforcing Microsoft's plan to turn Windows into the default gaming OS of the universe. So yeah, the future of Xbox isn't just a console, it's a Windows gaming rig in disguise. And are you excited for it? Just like you may be excited for the ROG Ally, which is rumored to launch in late October of this year. A Reddit user just proved that you can't teach an old GPU new tricks by unlocking AMD's FSR4 in a card that was never supposed to have it in the first place. FSR4 was meant to be exclusive at AMD's RX 9000 series, but this guy, he got it running on an older RX 7900 XTX thanks to a little tool called Optiscaler, and of course Linux, because if there's an OS that can break all the rules, it's Linux. He injected FSR4 DLLs into Cyberpunk 2077 Oblivion Remastered in Marvel Rivals, and the result? Visual fidelity is so good it sometimes beats native 4K, but at a price, 20 to 30% lower performance, especially fast-paced games. So if you're playing Doom Eternal, maybe don't. Moving on, Nintendo just caught a serious case of karma because they're out here banning Switch 2 users from online services for using a popular MIG Switch flash cartridge, even for legally dumped games. So someone out there hit the new Game Plus in real life. Let me explain. The MIG Flash lets users play mockups from an SD card. No error, no modding, no piracy. And yet, Nvidia's recent firmware flagged users playing Switch 1 backups on the Switch 2, even if you dumped your own games legally. You get the bad hammer. MIG Flash says it's for legal use only, but now warns. But here's where karma hits Ultra Instinct. $1.4 million worth of Switch 2 consoles got stolen, mid-shipment on their way to GameStop. How? Well, the driver stopped for a routine checkup and noticed a break-in. He didn't even know he was holding consoles, just like the cargo says games and toys. Well, now he knows, and now they're gone. Finally, Warner Bros. Games has reorganized its operations to 4 dedicated divisions, each focused on a major entertainment franchise: Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, and the DC Universe. Warner recently shut down 3 internal studios: Monolithic Productions, the developer of the Middle-earth series, and now the cancelled Wonder Woman game. Parent company Warner Bros. Discovery will split into 2 entities by mid-2026. The games will fall under the WBD Streaming and Studios branch, and this split has attracted some studios. Sony is rumored to be interested in acquiring the newly formed WBD Streaming and Studios division. The spin-off would include HBO, film and TV production, and the gaming division. The split isolates WBD's more successful assets, HBO, gaming, Warner Bros. Studios, from traditional cable holdings. Imagine how it would look like if Sony owned DC, Spider-Man and Batman crossover movie. And after all that, I want to hear what you guys say in the comments down below. And don't forget, we must grow the rebellion. Join the next episode, and remember, we always keep you updated, never belated. You just have to stay hydrated.